Afternoons on 11. I'm Rich Gould. This is a very special edition of Afternoons on 11. We get to honor one of our own, the lady who has hosted this program more than anyone else, Miss Christine Buck. You know, she has been in television since 1977. It's like 39 years. President Carter was in office back then, right? 77. President Carter was there. Oh my gosh, there were 4 TV stations, Ted Spencer? 4 TV stations. The Rams were in Los Angeles. Now they're there again. Everything old is new again. And so let's go ahead and welcome the lady of the hour, the grand dame of St. Louis television. Miss Christine Buck is here, ladies and gentlemen. Hey! Look at this. It's Christine. How are you? Did you know this was coming?
No!
You didn't know this was coming?
Oh my God! Oh my gosh!
They've got them all here. We've got a live studio audience.
This is your life.
You're surprised, isn't it? Yeah, where's Ralph Edwards?
Did I die?
No, not yet.
Oh my God, son Nancy! Oh my God! Remember back in 1977, I took Nancy Scanlon's place.
I remember.
She was pregnant with her first child, and now what? How many grandchildren do you have? See what I'm telling?
Now, do you want to make this a celebration or a very tearful goodbye? Because if it's a tearful goodbye, we can call Mike Bush.
Let's make it a celebration.
A celebration, good. A celebration for Christine Buck,
family's here.
who we're going to let chat in just a minute. But first, let's take a look back at the life and times of Christine on television, which started some 39 years ago. Christine Buck. Is it really time to call it a career? She still looks great. Still has passion in her voice. She's a remarkable product of TV news, and with typical Buck wit, said recently she's gone from news flashes to hot flashes.
Most pork cuts are down as low as most pork cuts are down, and as is a gallon of whole milk and eggs, both large and extra large.
Christine started in the 70s. She must have been a teenager in the old KPLR building that connected with the chase. Someone walked out on the weather, so Christine stepped in and typically did it beautifully.
One question, when is spring coming?
When is spring coming?
Yeah. It was supposed to have been last Thursday.
Well, I'm not going to put... April, the first week of April.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Yes, it was beautiful today.
Oh, we had a beautiful day. The high temperature was 84 degrees. And tonight a flash flood watch is in effect for much of central Missouri.
These were the times of magnetic numbers, cut-out cloud storms you just kind of tossed on the wall to let the viewer know something was coming. If it was green on the map, it had to be raining somewhere. No fancy computers, no tricky effects. Just Christine, a map, and natural ability, which was enough to earn Ms. Buck 3 Emmy Awards as the most popular weather person in St. Louis. When she won her first, she thanked the entire National Weather Service.
I have to thank the National Weather Service for sure, and one person. Thank you.
And in fact, we'll be close to 90 degrees by Saturday.
In the 80s, you know the 80s, the big hair days. Christine shifted her focus to news, first as anchor,
with Christine Buck,
later as reporter, covering every type of story on the planet. Murders, fires, floods, crime, and occasionally sports and human interest. Christine said it was doubtful she would stay in television news if her dad, the late great Hall of Famer Jack Buck, hadn't felt this way about her.
I think you do a wonderful job. If you weren't any good, if you were stumbling around, I'd sit there even by myself and turn red.
At the end of his career, Jack would say, "I've given his company the best years of my life. Now I'm going to give him some of the worst." It was a great line. And, as we all know, it was untrue. Just like her dad, Christine's days in television news and weather were always a winner.
We're always what?
We're always a winner.
Oh.
A winner. Remember, that's a winner. Your dad used to say that occasionally. When the Cardinals won.
Yeah.
Back then, back in the 70s, when you started, they didn't win all that much.
You're right.
What do you remember about the earliest days?
About the earliest
Yeah.
days? Oh, gosh.
Was it Ted that hired you, huh?
Yeah, it was Ted that hired me and Ted that stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that said, "What is she doing here?" I was ill-prepared, but Ted, he hung in there with me. He saw something.
Did you interview? Because I know you worked with Gil, and we saw Don Clark and Bill Reese. And
Yeah, I mean, it was just really learning everything. You know, every day it was walking into, like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. How can I be doing this? And just staying with it. And I remember I talked to my dad. He came to the station, and he looked at the tape, and he said, you're not good. So now it was not only my dad, but Jack Buck telling me I'm not good. So I said, okay. He goes, but if you stay with it, you know, he wanted me to get a room and live in the Chase. He goes, get a maid. Goes, I went, well, how much money do you think I have? I can't get a maid and live in the Chase.
The weather was always interesting, especially back then. No fancy computers like Fuller uses nowadays. I mean, you literally would throw a sun over Albuquerque and maybe some rain over Minneapolis and say that's the deal.
Well, I didn't. The floor director did.
You told him what
I
to do.
couldn't touch them. Remember that? And they were magnetic, yeah. And I guess the weather person walked out, and they said, we need someone to do weather. And like, Christine. I'm like, what? Weather. So I got a map. Like, I know where Texas is. I know this is Missouri.
You got two of them.
Yeah. And there were times where I'd be like, and then, because it was, you're invisible in the wall, right? It's a chroma key wall.
Yeah.
So, and, pointing to places and trying to describe it. And that was another thing. So I literally did call the National Weather Service every night.
How nervous were you? I think
So
all of
nervous.
us that have done this for a living can remember that first time. How nervous were you?
Really nervous. I have a friend here in the audience that says, oh yeah, your lip was always like, quivering. It wasn't easy to watch. However, I was 25. So there was that.
Who was the first anchor you worked with? You remember?
Bill Thomas.
Bill Thomas? Mm-hmm. You also worked with Maggie Linton, didn't you?
Definitely worked with Maggie Linton. And see, that was another thing where Ted Koppler would see something, a visionary really, and see things that other people didn't. And no woman was a sportscaster ever on television. And no black woman was a sportscaster on television until Maggie Linton came along.
And right now, Maggie Linton does a show on Sirius Radio, and she's been kind enough to join us here. How about that, Maggie Linton. Welcome, Maggie. All the way from Washington, D.C. to surprise Christine.
I can't believe it. I did. I had to come to surprise you.
Oh my gosh, we sat next to
Technically,
each other.
David invited me.
I always loved Maggie. She always put her purse in the desk. I remember you'd put it in the bottom room.
That's right.
And put your desk. And she was so fearless. And I was so scaredy.
I had to retrain her.
Yes. Retrain? You had to train me? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you so long, but I've seen you, of course, on the internet. And
Oh, yeah,
Facebook
Facebook and
your
everything.
successful radio show.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
And Ted Koppler, how about seeing him, huh?
I
I know.
Oh my God, how are you?
Yeah.
Well, you were like that when we first met you. That's nothing new. You were on the way out.
Don't swing the camera around.
Yeah. But you look good.
You were like that when we first met you. What do you remember about Christine, Maggie?
I remember the first date that I went out with David and Christine on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. This is. Oh.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh.
Not many people know
Scandalous.
this. David called in, and I mean, when somebody's on the air and somebody calls you and said, "Would you like to go out on a date with me?" You kind of go, "Oh, I don't know." And so she said, "Will you go out with us?" And I'm going, "Yeah." She said, "But if I kick you under the table, I want you to get up and go."
Oh, I do remember. But see, I had already met him at the bar, which was equally as bad.
And so she kicked me under the table.
Oh.
I said I had to go to the bathroom, but it worked out well because the following day he sent her 24 long stem roses. Yeah.
Really?
Very good.
He's getting a round of applause. He's in the back of the
Doing
room.
it ever since. I
And
have
she's
to
been
say.
hooked ever since. But yeah, we really had some great times, and even more so than anything, I have to thank Christine's brothers and sisters and her mom for treating me like a member of the family, because I don't get in many people's pools, but they had a gorgeous pool, and they would invite me over, and nobody tried to drown me. So and this was wonderful, and I always had a great time with them.
That's right. My
And
mom, Alice, you remember my mom so
your
well.
mom so well.
And check your monitors. I don't know if you can see them, but hopefully you will. I think we have some pictures, early pictures of you guys working together. You look so good and
Thank you.
so young.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we were.
Yes.
We were much younger then,
Right.
but we had a good time.
But St. Louis television was so much different. Television in general back then.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember, I don't know if you were during this newscast, but we were trying new things. I know that Gil Wingler will remember, and I think maybe Ted heard about it. And we had to get from like one camera to the other, but the shot wasn't really figured out,
Yeah.
so I had to crawl from camera 1 to camera 2. And I remember getting up and trying to be like, in other news,
Yeah, the bright idea
in other
of let
news,
us
my knees are
stand.
killing me.
Yeah, we used to stand for everything,
Yeah,
too.
we stood, that's right. And
Yeah.
so we were standing, and there was something wrong with the shot, so
Yeah.
we had to crawl to get to the next
Exactly.
camera.
Maggie, it is so cool to have you here.
Really
Thank
cool.
you
It's
very
my
much.
pleasure to be here. It really
Wow,
is.
this is your life.
No, this is your life.
We'll take a break now. We're coming back, talk a little bit about some of the community things that Christine's been involved with. But before we do, some well wishes from some of the folks she worked with a long time ago.
What an amazing career you've had, Christine. I've had the good fortune of knowing you for nearly 40 years. I was there at the very beginning of your career, in fact, the very first day. Over the years, you've touched the lives of thousands of people in this community with grace, charm, intelligence, and of course, humor. Congratulations, my friend. Good job.
I want to congratulate you and welcome you to the wonderful, new, exciting world, more exciting than television, the world of grandparenthood. I love you.
Hey, Christine, somebody told me you are retiring. How could you possibly retire? You're the backbone of Channel 11 News, and you've been so for the past couple of decades for sure. I'm really proud of you. You've just been absolutely terrific. I'll never forget you allowing me to spend my last 2 years of my career on your anchor desk. Have a great retirement, Christine. I love you, babe.
I can't believe it's been 39 years. Unbelievable. Christine, there's been very few pieces of talent that I've ever met that go beyond just moving their mouths when the camera and the lights are on. You have a love for this community and for the city, and it's shown in your work and the things that you've done for KPLR. Congratulations.